Good morning, class. Happy Monday to y'all. We are on lesson 5 today, using equations to solve for unknown values. Page 39. Page 39 right here. All right, question number 1. Tyler thinks that this figure has enough information to figure out the values of A and B. Do you agree and explain? Well, a couple things to note about this one. It appears that this is a line L, so we know that it should equal 180 degrees. Is that enough information for us to figure out A and B? We could guess. We could use a protractor, but it's saying, can you use the figure to figure that out? Okay, this is 90, so we know A and B would have to equal to 90 added together because it needs to equal 180. But can we figure out A and B exactly by looking at the figure? We cannot. So your answer there should be no. Explain your reasoning. There is not enough information given. Now, if it gave us a number like 50 degrees for some reason, we would be able to get B. B would be 40. But just by looking at it, we cannot figure that out. A might be a little bigger than B, it appears, but we cannot answer that. So no, there is not enough information. Question number 2. What does it look like? Okay, so Elena and Diego are going through these and writing an equation. We have to decide which one we agree with, which person, which equation, and then solve it. It says you can assume that angles that look like right angles are right angles. So there's a key. So if it looks like a right angle, we can indeed say that. So look at what we have here. We have an X, we have a W, and we have a 35. A couple things just to make note of before I even look over here. Remember, angles across from each other are vertical, are equal. So these would both be 35. And then whenever you see one of these, that means from here to here is X degrees, the whole thing. So let's look at what Elena says. Elena says X is 35. Well, X is this whole thing. That is certainly going to be more than 35 degrees. So Elena, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Let's look at Diego. X plus 35. Okay, X plus 35. So again, it's actually, I misspoke. X is not from here to here. X is just referring to this angle right here, it appears. Because this is 35 and this is W. So X plus 35 is 180. So if I eliminate this, can you see that this makes a straight angle, a straight line? If so, we should know that that equals 180 degrees. So Diego is right. Now let's figure out what X is. Okay, what is X in order to make that true? Again, hopefully you can see it. If not, you just simply subtract 35 because something plus 35 is 180. And what is 180 minus 35? And you should get 145 degrees. Okay, question 2. Here's our figure. Again, it looks like the whole thing here is a straight line, straight angle. Let's see what Elena says. 35 plus W plus 41 equals 180. Or does 35 and W equal 180? And again, remember 180 should be a straight line. So in this one, Elena's right. Now, how do I solve that? How do I figure out what W is? Well, I can add these two together. 41 and 35 is 76 plus something is 180. Maybe you can see it now. If not, you subtract 76 from both sides and you should get 104 degrees. Question 3, top of the next page. Okay, remember our note that anything that appears to be a right angle, we can assume is. So is W plus 35 look like it's a 90-degree angle? Or do both W's plus 35, the whole thing, look like 90 degrees? Okay, of course, it's just these two. That looks like a right angle right there. So W plus 35, Elena is on a little bit of a roll here. Got 2 in a row right. What would W be? W would be 55 degrees. Question 4. A little trickier here. 2w plus 35 is 90, or w plus 35 is 90. Here you kind of got to remember what vertical angles mean. Okay, vertical angles are equal, so these two things have to be equal. So I could write 35 here, and I'll look at this whole thing right here. See how that looks like a right angle? I didn't want to draw a little box here, but I suppose I could. I just didn't want to get in the way. There's a right angle here. So w plus 35 plus w would equal 90 degrees. So Elena is again right. Okay, so we got to figure out what w is. Again, you can trial and error. Okay, you can trial and error. Subtract 35 from both sides, if you can't see it. And you get 2w equals 90 minus 35 is 55. So that's what 2w is. It wants to know what 1w is. So 2 times what is 55? Okay, again, if we can't see it, 2 times w, opposite is dividing by 2. 55 divided by 2 is 27 and a half degrees. All right, come on, Diego. We need you to get one here. Elena's kind of running away with this. So Elena says w plus 148 equals 180. Does that appear to be a straight line there? I would agree with that. Definitely looks like 180 degrees there. And Diego says x plus 90 is 148. Okay, let's come back to that one. So let's solve this one first. W plus 148 is 180. What plus 148 is 180? Can't see it. You'd have to subtract 148 and you'd get 32 degrees. Now let's look at Diego's a little closer. He's saying x plus 90, so this angle plus this whole thing is 148. Now, do we agree with that? Well, look where x is here. Here's 180. And notice that is a vertical that is directly across from 148. Do you see that? These two are across from each other, so those would both be equal. These two would have to be equal as well. So x plus this 90 would in fact equal 148, so they are both right. Now, what is x? Subtract 90 from both sides, and x would be 58 degrees. Okay, question 3. We are now on page 42. It says find the unknown angle measures, and there are going to be different ways to find these angles. So if you find it a different way, that is perfectly fine. First one. Looks like these two things appear to make a straight line, straight angle. So my equation, I like to write my equation to help me visualize. W plus 124 equals 180. Okay, what is W? Subtract 124 from both sides, and you get 56 degrees. Again, if you could actually figure out all of these. This is 124, the one across from it would be 124. We just found this to be 56, this would be 56. And the whole thing would add up to 360 degrees. Question 2. Again, looks like we have a straight angle there, straight line. 52 plus b plus 23 equals 180. All these added together are going to equal 180. What's 52 plus 23? Should be 75 plus b equals 180. That means b is 105 degrees. Okay, line L and M are perpendicular. Perpendicular means they make right angles, 90 degrees, every one of them. Okay, they all make 90 degrees, 360 all the way around. The only one I care about is going to be the one that has my x's and my degrees in there, so I'm just going to leave that one. So this is x, this is 23. How do I get what this angle is? Again, remember your hints for vertical angles across from each other. These are across from each other, so this has to be x as well. So now I know that x plus 23 plus x has to be 90. Okay, so 2x plus 23 equals 90. I just combine like terms. If I have one apple plus another apple, I'm going to have two apples. Cannot combine those. Those are not like terms. This is like we solved last week. Here's my x. I am not touching that. How do I get rid of a positive 23? I'm going to subtract it. 90 minus 23 is 67. Now I got to divide by 2. What's half of 67? 33.5 degrees. Question number 4. Again, we have to remember vertical angles on this one. Because see how that has these little lines marking this angle? That's got to equal this one because they are across from each other. So I know this whole thing and this whole thing has to be equal. So I know that m plus 66 plus m, right here, must equal 120. I'm going to combine my m's. Again, one apple plus another apple. I'm going to have two apples. Plus 66 is 120. Subtract 66. What is 120 minus 66? You get 54. Divide by 2 and you get 27 degrees. Okay, the Are You Ready up on top. It says use a protractor to measure. I'll just kind of go through these for you. And again, we are kind of reading this upside down here, which is fine. Okay. So I'm worried about this angle right here. So I'm starting at 0, and it looks like here's 40, here's 50. It looks like it's right in the middle, so I'm going to call that 45 degrees. I'm going to check B. And notice this is making triangles. So this is 90, this would be 45, this would be 45. Now this will still be 90 if you look at the next triangle. This angle is going to get bigger. So this one should be smaller than 45. So here's 25, 26, looks like about 27 degrees. And this one should be smaller yet. Okay, what do you guys think that one is? Okay, here's 20, it's 19, looks like about 18 degrees. Now what do you notice about those three numbers? Okay, if you add those up, A plus B plus C should have equaled 90 degrees. All right, final little point here if you look at the summary. Okay, again, this is just helping you with vertical angles. Notice these two would be equal. But if it was asking you to figure out what x is, which is kind of what this explains here, notice that this whole thing and this whole thing are across from each other. So those two things have to be the same. So I have x plus x plus x plus this 90 equals 140. That's how they came up with that equation. And then they just solved it, subtracting 90 and dividing by 3. So really remember, guys, what vertical angles are, and that will help you out. All right, so here's the homework I want you to try tonight or today. And then again, I will post the answers tomorrow. Make sure you are keeping on track with that. We have a quiz coming up, your first quiz on Friday. And again, that will be on Canvas. So your homework, page 44, 45, and 46. There are 7 questions. Any questions, you let me know. And again, remember our Zoom appointments, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 10:30. Look forward to seeing you guys. Take care. Be safe. Bye-bye.